All right, welcome to the director's table. Today we've got a great guest with us all the way from Europe in the Netherlands, Toon de Vries. Toon, welcome.
Thank you for having me, Todd and Athena.
Yes, and we've also got back again Athena Delgado, state director in Arizona and also national director. Many of you see her at the open events throughout the country. So she's in Minnesota right now, getting ready for the national number 3, the bag brawl. So how are you doing today, Athena?
Good, very good. We're
Good.
setting up still, but very good.
Good. Yeah. Well, thanks for carving out a little bit of time here. So, well, Tone, just we're gonna go through a couple questions here, and know you're busy right now, just coming back from Sweden and preparing for Norway Open this coming up weekend. So,
That's
Yeah.
exciting. All right. Well, then the first question then that I have is what inspired you to get into the world of cornhole?
Ah, yeah. We have to go back a couple years because I have lived in the U.S. That's now already 5 years ago, I think, that we were living there. And obviously, in I was living in North Carolina, and obviously you stumble over cornhole boards everywhere. So we used to play a little bit there, and my wife and I thought it was a great idea to bring a set back home. It was a tailgate set, the cheapest one we could find on Amazon, and we just brought it back. And but the funny thing was, we didn't think much of it. But then I went on a weekend away with friends, and I brought the set, thinking that they would not think much of it, or would maybe play for 5 minutes, and that would be it. But funny enough, they played the whole weekend nonstop, and it was a huge hit. And that's when one of my good friends and now still business partner Charco and we looked at each other and we said, okay, we got to do something with this. This is way too much fun to just let it go. So that's how it started.
That's awesome. That's such a good story.
well, kind of along with that, I mean, you're helping new directors and new areas get started all over Europe. Do you have any like tips or suggestions that you've kind of picked up over the last 18 months, 2 years that we've kind of been working on this that you might be able to offer new directors or somebody who's looking to start in a new region?
Yeah, so I think there are many tips, but one that works well, I think, here is often before one of our country directors do any large tournaments, I encourage them to first use the software for their basically their training night. So they often play at a club, and they play small tournaments with just the club members, and it might only be 10 people or 15 or two for that matter. But I encourage them to test the software out there, because it's easy. It's just a few people. If there's anything that goes wrong, it's a quick fix, and it's quite easy. And it helps them a lot when they then have to do a larger event where there's maybe 100 players and more questions and different nationalities and things like that. So I think starting small has worked quite well here.
Cool. Yeah. And you talked a little bit about clubs, which in the U.S. is kind of not necessarily commonplace. Can you kind of explain clubs a little bit and how that works in Europe?
Yeah, so sports in general are organized very differently. So if you look at the top, you're used to franchises. That's something that does not exist in Europe. So it's a club, and a club is basically based on the location and doesn't move. So like a franchise could move, a club will not move in Europe. And it's structured around clubs that have members, and the members decide the direction of the club and the way the club is organized, and they vote for a board and things like that. So there's no owner. The club is not owned by one person or a few people, but it's the members that are the club owners in the end. And the whole sports structure is based on that. So it really starts everything in sports in Europe starts with clubs. Also much less like you're used to college, and in college it's often centered around sports. That's also less in Europe, so we don't really have that college vibe or yeah, ecosystem. And here it's everything is based around clubs, clubs competing with each other. You're a member of a club, and sometimes that club might actually be a big part of your life because you spend so much time on it, and you have a lot of love for the local club that you play for. But yeah, the clubs is really the centerpiece of sports in Europe.
Cool. Thanks. Yeah, thanks for elaborating.
Yeah, that is really neat. Now, is there anything unique that you do at your events to kind of engage with the players?
Good question. I mean, yeah, what I think is, what is different with our tournaments, but also kind of nice. It's not really the way we interact or something, but we have a lot of nationalities typically especially at our bigger events. And that sometimes it's 12 or 13 or 14 different nationalities. And as you might know, every country has their own culture and their own little things. But the funny thing is that with the small community that we have here, everyone understands each other quite well. They all have a love for the sport, and that's really cool. I think about the community that we have. It really doesn't matter where you come from, who you are, what you do. For that weekend, you're one of the cornhole players, and whether you're from any country, it doesn't really matter until one of the players get into the final, and then they will actually cheer on their fellow countryman or woman. And I think that's pretty cool, and we also try to encourage that. So really, come and support your favorite player from your country or your club, because we really want people to be excited about the players that are playing. And I think that's some events better than others, but that's often working quite well. And it gets even better when we do a teams event, and it's really country against country. Yeah, then it starts to heat up quite a bit.
Yes.
But at the end of the day, and that's what I really like so far. We all hang out at the same bar and having fun together, and so it's that's kind of the culture that we try to create. It really doesn't matter where you're from. Let the bags talk, basically. Yeah?
Mhm. Yeah, and that was, I mean, such an eye-opening experience for me at a couple of the events that I've been to over in Europe with the national pride that the players really bring when you get down to those final games and cheering on their countrymen and women. It's amazing. And then Athena had the opportunity to be at the New Orleans Open when Goonie and Thomas were there, and Athena actually had been communicating with Tom prior to that on social media. So, that being able to engage with some different players.
Yeah. Yeah, cool. Yeah, I hope we can send more European players in the future.
Mm-hmm. It was exciting. I mean, everybody there really loved having them there. It was funny to see those two guys playing against I think an 8 and a 10-year-old. Just the contrast in age and playing style was it was a great experience. But that kind of leads me. You mentioned having multiple nationalities. With that comes multiple languages, and I know that being a one language speaker myself, that was always some nerves come in when I would travel over to France or to Germany last year.
Yeah.
Do you have any suggestions for? You said the bags speak once you start, but do you have any suggestions for communicating with players when you have so many different languages coming in?
Yeah, I mean, most of the players and in most of the countries they speak English quite well. So you don't have to be worried. It's not like you come up to an event where there are 80 players and 75 don't understand the word you're saying. no, they all speak English, or at least understand most of it. So with English, you'll be perfectly fine, and you can always investigate about what are the local cultures, and what should I do or should I not do. But they are all typically quite proud of their country and very welcoming. So they will also, help you to show you around, or tell you where the good places are, where the best coffee is, where the best drinks are. Then often they were really welcoming to help you out. And so it doesn't really matter any event where you go, you'll be perfectly fine with English. I have to say my German and French is not good, but it certainly has improved a little bit over the course of the last 2 years, because I did have to use it quite a bit at those events. But that's also because, of course, they come with questions to the director. So as a player, you're perfectly fine with English. And if there's a player that doesn't speak English, then you just play a game, and they all know how that works. So you'll be fine.
Yeah, fist bumps are a global language, I guess, right?
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
Well, I think my first trip to France last year was the last time I probably played in an actual tournament, and
Yeah.
I was able to get through. And I think I was able to find a couple of the people who I knew their English was a little better, and I made sure that if I if I had a question, I would
Yeah.
seek them out quickly.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
I made it through.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And where do you see cornhole globally in the next 5 years?
Well, so that's that's a big one. No, yeah, of course, we have big plans and huge ambitions here. And also with my work for the World Cornhole organization, we really try to get Cornhole on the map in as many countries as possible, but also within the, let's say, the Olympic community. So we also invest a lot of time in creating those relationships and talking to the right people, and really get Cornhole on the map. So where are we then in 5 years? I foresee that we have an ACL sub-region in all parts of the world. So we have ACL Europe, but maybe at that point we have ACL South America. ACL Australia is already there, but maybe ACL Asia and ACL Africa. I think most of the parts of the world could be covered. And then it's all about growing the sport, getting more and more players to jump on board. And if I look at Europe specifically, the first goal is really to get all countries involved. There's still some blind spots on our map that should be filled out. But after that, where the biggest growth is for ACL Europe is at the, let's say, the bottom of the pyramid. So we really need a lot more local events. So that's in the coming years will be one of the key focus points for us to grow the sport. In the US, you have the tailgating culture that you're used to, and that helps you because it kind of creates a baseline of players that at least like it or play it somehow. We don't have that in Europe, so we have to build all of that. So where you maybe build it bottom to top, we're maybe building a little bit more top to bottom, and that's where we really need to put a lot of time and effort in to be able to grow it. So long answer to your story, to your question. I hope it was. I hope it was okay.
Yes. We, compared to where it was even 5 years ago here in the U.S., the amount that it's grown and the resources that are being put into the sport on a daily basis. I think even in U.S. we're at the tip of the iceberg still, and I think the amount of growth available potentially in Europe is still massive. And And the work you've been doing both with ACL Europe and the WCO over in Europe has been fantastic. And for those of you who don't know, Tone and I, we get to talk most days either through Messenger or on a meeting. So I've been able to have the privilege of watching his growth over the last 2 years, which has been pretty exciting. So.
Yeah, for sure. And the support from you guys has been amazing. Otherwise, it would not have been possible. And having the opportunity now, I do have to give a big shout out to the players, because it's crazy how so many players that have not even played or are playing for maybe less than a year or maybe a year and a half or maximum 2 years are now traveling all across Europe to compete in the ACL Europe series. And I mean, literally, they sometimes visit 6, 7, or 8 different events in different countries. I mean, yeah, that's a huge investment of time, money, and resources. So that's we are nothing without those players.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, the players make it. We can't run events without the players. So, yeah, cool. All right, Tone. Well, do you have anything else you'd like to add that we talk about that we didn't ask you?
No, I mean, for everyone that's watching this from the US, I would really encourage all of you to come and visit one of our events in Europe. You will not be disappointed. They are always a lot of fun. It's very easygoing, competitive, but also fun. So yeah, if you ever get the opportunity, pick a country that you really always wanted to visit. Most likely there will be an ACL Europe event by now. And just come and visit us. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. I'm happy to help to make your trip worthwhile.
Great. Thank you. Athena, do you have anything else?
No, that was fantastic. I loved all of it.
All right. Well, Tone, thanks for joining today. We will get this online and look forward to sharing it with the Cornhole community.
Perfect. All right. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Good.